of the main things that I enjoyed about it was how interactive the whole experience was. With the videos and the quizzes and the activities, I absolutely loved every second of it, and it only made me want to be a teacher even more.
At Game Academy, we use games as learning environment. So we help learners develop their problem-solving skills, creativity, leadership, online communication.
And the whole idea of this programme is that people can actually get into a virtual world and change a tyre. That virtual world's modelled on our garage, so you'll see all the windows, you'll see all the sort of machinery.
Yeah, I do believe Ada's helped me develop my skills because I can see how I'm doing, I can track my progress with Ada.
Flash Academy helps children and adults to learn English faster, and we work with nearly 1,000 schools, colleges and workplaces across the UK.
We learned a lot about what does it mean to create a product, to raise money, to pitch, the legalities of things. It was really eye-opening.
We are an online early careers enablement platform. So what that means is our mission is to support young people by connecting them with top employers, top universities throughout their time at secondary school.
With support from UFI, we've been able to reach over 1.2 million registered learners on IDEA. Between them, they've achieved more than 8.5 million IDEA badges and over 100,000 awards.
UFI has made it possible for these people to enjoy learning, and for some, that's the first time.
IDEA has helped me gain skills that may be helpful in progressing to university and in work life.
It has helped me grow more in confidence so that I'm able to be more outputting with my questions.
The funding from UFI has enabled us to consolidate the best bits from our programmes into an improved offer.
I feel more confident about my future.
Good morning. Welcome aboard the Floating Harbour studio here in Bristol to celebrate a year of tremendous progress in the adoption of digital tech to support adult learning. We've got a packed agenda for you to enjoy with plenty of opportunities for questions, networking and interaction even. Some guests are joining remotely and some are here in person. Welcome. Today we're using Hopin, so please do use the chat to ask questions and get involved. You'll find that on the right of your screen. I'll be posting questions to the guests throughout the showcase. Please feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat and also share any relevant resources that you think people would be interested in seeing. If you've got any trouble using the platform, please visit the help desk and a member of the team will be able to help you there. So we're going to kick off with a conversation between our chair, Dom Gill, and our CEO, Rebecca Garrod-Waters. Then we'll meet some of the UFI team who will be talking about the impact of our grants and venture investments. Then in part 2, we'll be heading into the panel discussions before coming back to find out about the grant funding rounds for next year. So Rebecca and Dom, welcome to the studio in Bristol. How are you doing?
Thank you, Thomas. It's lovely to be here and with the sun shining as well. And Dom, it's lovely to have the opportunity to chat with you about something that we're both so passionate about.
It really is. Good morning, Rebecca. Good morning, everybody. It's lovely to be here today.
So good morning, everyone. And the VocTech Showcase is our annual celebration of the VocTech community. The providers, developers, entrepreneurs, learning technologists, charities and investors that are all working towards our shared goal of greater opportunity for adults, particularly our learner audience, to learn vocational skills. So I'm going to start with the big question. What excites you most about the work of UFI?
That is a big question. For me, the most exciting thing about UFI is the positive impact we've had and the huge potential for even greater good to come out of our work. We work with some amazing organisations and help them to achieve even greater things than we could have managed alone. The work we've undertaken supporting organisations like the Prince's Trust and the National Youth Academy has been very much as a supportive funder, helping them to shape the questions they needed to ask. Our ethos has always been demonstration through doing.
I completely agree. I think that I know I'm really proud of the work we do, and it's a real privilege to work with so many others who are passionate about the importance of skills and the critical role that tech plays. I'm also really proud of our thoughtful approach to the way we work. So we offer different kinds of finance and think about the way we use all of our resources, and most importantly, help organisations achieve the best they can for learners that are all too often neglected or ignored entirely. I love the breadth of our grant and venture portfolio. Breadth in terms of sector and tech, but with a laser-like focus in terms of the focus on adult vocational skills for learners that so often get ignored or offered second or third best. You've been in the thick of delivery of apprenticeships. Do you think there's been a shift in the way that tech has been viewed? And do you think we've moved on from that kind of either or conversation?
I have, and again, I think very good questions. We've definitely moved on. Whether we've come far enough is a different question. The tech that underpins the delivery of vocational skills, VocTech, has obviously been absolutely critical over the past 2 years. And there's no way we'll be going back to where we were, but there is a lot more to do. We all know the huge negative impact that COVID and lockdowns have had on many, and every day we hear about the challenge of the skill shortages affecting a wide range of industries. Tech is going to be critical to dealing with this, and we've supported organisations who've been deploying and developing tools that are really good examples of the way tech can really change lives, have a positive impact, and be part of the solution to the skills challenge. For example, First Step Trust, Wasted, and Sonic Jobs, to name 3, Rebecca.
Absolutely. I think the range and variety of tech solutions is a critical part of the work we support. Tech solutions are about so much more than an LMS or online learning, and new ways of looking at problems allows creative and clever ways of utilising well-established tech for different audiences. I think that one of the great strengths of UFI and the work we support is the range of solutions and approaches, all focused on adult vocational learning. So from the key worker-led vocational programme that St Mungo's are delivering through to Game Academy's Talent Tracker and the British Pest Control Association's Virtual Pest Management Simulator, there is a huge variety. But there's one thing in common, and that's the collective commitment to better training, skills and opportunity. In many ways, our work is about the shared vision and passion. I think that the partnerships we're working with are a real reflection of that shared vision. We know that we're stronger together. Dom, do you see collaborative working and shared voice as an important part of the future of UFI?
I really do. Collaborating with others who have an aligned or complementary mission is going to be critical for UFI in delivering against our mission. The partnership with the RSA announced yesterday is really exciting, and I'm really looking forward to working with them. Our work with the Resolution Foundation has been really interesting for us as well. We bring the vocational skills element to worker tech, and it allows us to be part of the conversations about the wider issues and helps us have an even better understanding of the context for the organisations we support. And of course, tomorrow sees the launch of the Emerge and Coursera Green Paper, which so many of the UFI family contributed to through consultation and engagement in the workshops, which you and Mark Zhao from Filtered chaired, Rebecca.
We did, and it was a really fascinating piece of work. I really enjoyed the opportunity to work with Duncan Dunlop from Coursera, Mark and the team from Emerge. The paper's a really important look at the way the system currently functions, the challenges and needs of many disparate learners, and the pressures and challenges facing employers and learning providers. It poses some challenges and some potential solutions, particularly around data and ethics. And we've got some brilliant speakers at the session on data and ethics coming up, with Vinit Patel, co-founder of Filtered, Kola Ayanrinde from Beam, Nick Newman from Emerge, and Maren Deepwell, CEO of Alt. Dom, I think that's going to be a great session.
Sounds like a fascinating session. I think the partnership and collaborative work will allow us to focus on some really knotty problems as well, and support our intention to have a deep focus on particular areas like the challenges faced in assessment. We have a pretty privileged position as a grant funder and investor that means that we can see areas where problems or innovative thinking is starting to coalesce, and that gives us an opportunity to align our resources in the best possible way. I know we're having some really thoughtful conversations at the moment, and I'm looking forward to the development of our collaborative work.
Absolutely. Thoughtful is a good word. And I've always been really determined that UFI would be thoughtful about everything we did. If you're conscious about the way your resources are deployed, not just from a direct grant point of view, but in thinking about the organisations you work with, where your money and time is spent, it all ensures that you're delivering against your mission in the best possible way. I think that one mission, one organisation ethos is reflected in the work that we've done on our core investments and our move to 100% impact. As Daniel Satter said in our session on Monday, all of your investments have an impact, and it's up to you to decide what you want that impact to be. And I'd go further and say all of your activity has an impact, and you should be thoughtful about what that impact should be. It's just one of the reasons why our approach to grant funding and venture investment is so important. It's not just about the money, but it's also about the support, what we call enrichment. Access to expertise and support to give the best chance of success.
Really important. I'm really proud of the way we're able to work with the organisations we support and the way we can bring together cohorts of organisations who can really benefit from the shared expertise and experience. I think that this is one of the really important parts of our offer to our venture investments, both a community of like-minded organisations and access to expertise.
I think direct investments are a really important part of the work of UFI, and I know that you're really keen to continue to strengthen our work in that area.
I absolutely am. I see that we can have a really significant positive impact through our direct investments, which are totally mission aligned and support our ambition to demonstrate through doing and support organisations with strong social purpose and strong commercial focus. Our venture portfolio has already had a positive impact on over 1 million learners, and I see that number growing ever faster. We feel this vital mix of grant funding and venture investment not only demonstrates the undoubted benefits to learners of these technologies, but also reinforces their commercial opportunities, and by doing so, helps ensure the VocTech sector reaches its full potential. Alex will be talking with CAPSLOCK, one of the organisations we're investing in, later this morning.
Looking forward to it. I think I could talk for hours about the impact that the UFI family has had and the even bigger impact that they are going to have in the future. But I think there's been some chat on Hopin, and there might be a few questions from the audience. And we've also got some fantastic panel discussions coming up. I know they all look brilliant, so if anyone's been having difficulty choosing between them, then don't panic. The recordings will be available to revisit. The panels are a great mix of thoughtful and provocative speakers, including some of the UFI trustee board, our partners, some supported organisations, and the wider VocTech family. And as well as the data and ethics session I've already mentioned, we also have how can we design assessment to work better for learners, reaching beyond the mainstream, how to design and deliver broader learning opportunities, access and impact. And the future of work is now. What do we need to make it work for us? There is a huge amount of insight and experience, and thank you to all of our panellists for sharing their time and expertise. So I think you've got some questions, Thomas. It's over to you.
Hello. Yeah, thank you very much, Dom and Rebecca. That was really interesting stuff. I'm looking at the Hopin platform. I can see loads of really brilliant chat, so thank you for that, but no questions yet. So you've got a few seconds perhaps to jump on there and ask one. A question from me about partnerships. It's obviously a really important part of the work at UFI. Who would you like to be partnering with? Have you got any ideas of where you'd like that to go next?
That's a really interesting question, because as we've just said, partnerships and collaborative working are absolutely critical to what we're hoping to achieve, and we're already having lots of really interesting conversations, and a lot of what we want to do around partnerships is going to be building on that kind of the focus and where we see, as Dom said, kind of innovation coalescing or critical problems coalescing.
Yeah, and I think for me, a specific area is going to be around our venture investment. So looking at partnering in a really thoughtful way so we can maximise the investments that we're able to make, to have greater leverage and support to the companies that we're investing in, to make sure that they can continue to grow, but we can continue to advance our mission. So I think for me, ventures is going to be a really interesting part for partnerships.
I think it's going to be important for the whole of the work we do. I think it adds so much value to both the grant side of the family and the venture side. So it's great.
Great. Had a few questions come in then, a bit of a flurry. Let me just have a quick look through. So a few people are asking about the digital divide. Maren was one of the first. Can you explain a bit more about the work you're doing around the digital divide?
Yeah, so thank you for the opportunity to talk about it. I think the VocTech Challenge was a really important piece of work that we undertook in conjunction with many of the people who were joining us today, both in the audience and on the panels. And in looking at the impact of COVID, but particularly the what happened through lockdowns, it became clear that there was that very kind of stark reality around the growth of the digital divide. It was certainly it was certainly worsening. And one of the things, there was a series of things that we are looking to do to kind of meet the challenge or meet the problems that the VocTech Challenge threw up. That includes the grant fund that we will be announcing the results of later this month. But it also includes a lot of work that we're doing with our partners to think about how we can support the adult learning sector, to think about ways of reaching those audiences that have suffered the greatest as a result, and who are most at risk of the widening of the digital divide. And we recognise there are some parts of the problem that we aren't able to address, but we do need to make sure that we talk to organisations who are thinking about connectivity and all the other issues that impact the work that we're trying to do. So we're really quite excited about the opportunity we have to make a really positive difference.
Brilliant, thank you. I am seeing a lot more questions come in now, but I'm going to move us on to the next bit because we've got a lot to get through. I will try and put the questions to Dom and Rebecca when we're kind of in the panel discussions perhaps. Anyway, up next, we are going to go and hear from Jane Holmes, our Head of Grant Programmes, about the impact our grant funding is having. Jane, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me, Thomas?
I can. Wonderful to see you, Jane.
Hey, it worked.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. As Rebecca and Dom have said, we achieve our mission through the organisations we support and work with, and it's really great to have you with us. For our VocTech Showcase 2021, I really want to highlight the sheer breadth of what we do and share some examples of our grant-funded projects that demonstrate, by doing, our core belief that tech is the ultimate enabler in opening access and opportunity at scale. If we think about the learning journey, the first thing our projects consider are their learners' needs. How do you find out about what learners need when their needs may be complex and the range of learners vast? Century have used artificial intelligence to develop their award-winning teaching and learning platform. Using AI, learning science and neuroscience, Century creates constantly adapting pathways for students and powerful assessment data for teachers and lecturers, and the evidence from FE about the positive improvement in outcomes is impressive. Once the learner's needs have been established, the next step is access, which is particularly important if you're dealing with learners in the secure estate. How do you make sure people can learn in a complex, highly secure environment where provision of resources, networks, and security levels are vastly different? Mega Nexus are focused on tackling this challenge. Whether it's 100% secure online provision in cells, on and offline updating of content and assessment, or largely offline provision using mobile devices, their differentiated approach allows access for all learners. The importance of interesting and compelling learning content, as in NIACRO's virtual reality training for prisoners wanting to work in construction, must not be underestimated. This project recently won the Best Not-for-Profit IT Project Award in the Belfast Telegraph Business Awards. The issue of access for learners always looms large, whether it's access to tech, content, data, bandwidth, or a safe place to learn. UFI grant funding enabled Beam to develop its online platform from proof of concept to full rollout. Beam crowdfunds employment training for people who are either homeless or at risk of homelessness, removing the financial barriers to gaining skills. The development of their mobile-friendly and transparent supporter website enabled a 130% increase in donations, helping people like Hannah, who raised £3,630 for her training from 579 supporters and is now working full-time. As Rebecca mentioned, Cola, one of Beam's data analysts, is in our data and ethics panel discussion later. Next up on our learning journey is assessment. How do you establish and evidence what people have learned using tech? Bolton College's First Pass system is using AI to support teachers as they undertake formative assessment activities with their students, specifically open-ended questions. And Ecom Scotland have developed a virtual reality assessment tool working with the Scottish Qualifications Authority to assess learners' practical knowledge and skills rather than their ability to write about those things. Once assessment is sorted and skills have been gained or improved, the next step is employment. Socrates developed the Way to Work app to provide learning pathways that can lead to employment for ex-prisoners and those in probation. The project worked with NACRO and Clean Slate during testing, as well as employers such as Halfords. MyBe Awards is a learning platform that identifies areas of support needed for learners in complex circumstances. For example, learners with trauma, drug or alcohol issues. They're working with charities like Clinks and the Shaw Trust and are about to start working through the Chambers of Commerce and the Department for Work and Pensions to reach more learners with complex needs in the UK. And Digital Unite's Aspires programme helps people to help those with learning disabilities. Their programme provides support and training to champions who go on to support people with learning disabilities, and they've been working with organisations such as MenCap, Skills for People and Promise Inclusion. So moving through a learning journey from needs via access and assessment to employment, these examples hopefully give you some idea of our thoughtfulness and our passion for having an impact via demonstrating through doing, and shows you some of the breadth and depth of our grant-funded portfolio. And now I have a question for you. A poll should be popping up shortly on your screens for you to vote. Which one of the following hasn't been involved in a UFI grant-funded project? Badgers, eyes, rats, sewing machines, ships, and teeth. So which of those hasn't been involved in a grant-funded project? Badgers, eyes, rats, sewing machines, ships, and teeth. Hold that thought, and I'll let you know the answer in a few moments, but you can find out about all these and more of our projects in our new project directory, the link for which will be sent to you after the event. And I have an offline hard copy here. You can see how many there are. This year, we've seen the mainstreaming of some of our projects we've supported since our inception, and it's been really interesting to reflect on the things that they have in common. Firstly, they have thoroughly understood how digital tools can make a difference to their target learning. So it's not just tech for tech's sake, but tech as a solution to a learning problem. Secondly, they've considered the change they want to see and have designed learning using digital pedagogy to that effect. Thirdly, they've thought long and hard about the potential barriers to scaling, whether those barriers are technological, organisational, institutional or financial, and they've planned and then scaled accordingly. And finally, they've made sure they can demonstrate the benefits of what they've developed to learners, to providers, to customers, and to employers. And some of our projects have gone on to have impact at significant scale. Multiverse, who we supported several years ago, now provides high-quality apprenticeship programmes that combine work, training and community, and have trained over 5,000 apprenticeships across the UK, with more than 200 of the world's best employers. National Numeracy have been tackling the issue around confidence with numbers. 49% of working adults are estimated to have the functional maths level of an 11-year-old or younger, which has a significant impact on their working lives and their confidence. In the past 18 months, more than 70,000 learners have stated that they've improved their skills or confidence in maths by using the National Numeracy Challenge. The role of digital in tackling this issue was recognised by the Chancellor in the recent budget with the new Multiply initiative. And the IDEA Foundation have developed the Inspiring Digital Enterprise Award, known as IDEA, which is an international award-winning programme that helps you develop digital enterprise and employability skills for free. There are badges on IDEA that can help you to learn about video editing, animation, graphic design, and understand complex topics like automation, blockchain, and AI. IDEA has helped more than 1 million learners develop the skills, discover new talents, and gain digital confidence. So I hope this insight into our grant-funded projects has shown you more about our mission and our belief in the power of tech to transform and open up opportunity at scale. We'll be announcing more grant funding rounds at the end of this showcase, and the correct answer to the poll was eyes. I'm assuming you got that one right, Rebecca?
Of course, but only 3% of the audience got it right, which is quite a surprise, actually. So thank you very much, Jane. We should, I think, what was the, I'm going to switch to Thomas and just ask you, what was the top answer badgers?
It was actually rats.
Rats?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you see, I gave you a little hint with the British Pest Control Association. Our grant portfolio is amazing, and seeing organisations achieve such large-scale positive impact is super uplifting. But now I'm going to hand over to Alex Bishop from the Ufi Ventures team, who's going to tell us all about Ufi Ventures and introduce us to CAPSLOCK, one of the venture portfolio companies. Alex, are you with us?
Hi, Rebecca. How's the boat this year? I hope it's a bit warmer.
It's tasty, thank you, and very beautiful.
Good. Really, thank you for having me, and really enjoyed the conversation so far in celebrating all things VocTech. I'm hopefully I can add a little bit more flavour in some of the discussions so far from a ventures perspective. Just introducing myself, I'm Alex Bishop, an investment manager in Ufi Ventures. I lead on our kind of management of our investment process day to day. What we do in ventures, I know we've got two separate streams that have been discussed this morning, and Jane's just given a great summary of the grant side of the organisation. Ventures was born in 2019, and what we do is we make early stage investments into organisations to help them scale and grow and make hopefully tangible, large scale impact in the market. We're all about, we see ourselves as a unique funding partner and specialist funding partner for the organisations we work with. We're funded by our own capital, which gives us an ability to take a flexible approach to our investment strategy. And we're a long-term investor. We're not in this for quick wins. This for us is about making tangible impact in the UK at scale. We have three main kind of offerings to entrepreneurs when we're speaking to them. First and foremost is the funding side of things. We can fund up to £1 million into an early stage company's growth across multiple funding rounds. And we hope to build the portfolio to around 20 companies at completion. We're all about helping our portfolio to also get other funding into them. We're often the first institutional money into organisations. Part of this for us is about catalysing growth and money into the space and showing that VocTech is a market where investors can put their money. And so far, we've staggeringly we've encouraged more than 8 million of co-investment into the market, which we're incredibly proud of. But coming back to some of the things Dom was talking about earlier, we see venture investment as something that can really drive social impact in the UK, and very much in line with what UFI is all about, and improving adult skills for work. And when we're speaking to entrepreneurs, the first thing we try to do is establish that there's a clear alignment on that social impact mission. And we work very closely with entrepreneurs in building out and ensuring social impact is at the heart of their offering in their business. We believe that commercial growth and social impact can indeed go hand in hand. And this has obviously resulted, as Dom alluded to earlier on, that more than 1 million people have been positively affected across our portfolio today, and that number continues to trend up monthly, which is great to see. And finally, for us, this is all about supporting the portfolio as well. UFI has been operating in the space for a number of years now, and that enables us to have a wide network we can pull on to work with the portfolio and build out really tailored enrichment plans for the companies and helping them grow and scale across across different stages when they're trying to when they're encountering the numerous challenges that companies operating in this early stage of business cycles find. So that's obviously a great part of what we do too. The portfolio is in a great place, and we're incredibly excited to be joined later on by one of our recent investments, CAPSLOCK. CAPSLOCK is a unique cybersecurity bootcamp which removes barriers to entry and learning for people, and also is all around making sure learners find employment at the end of their course. And we're incredibly excited to be joined by the two of the co-founders later on this morning. Our other new investment this year is SpringPod, which was alluded to earlier on. SpringPod is all around opening up access to work experience for young people. And so far, they've reached more than 250,000 young people in offering them opportunities to experience different things with different experiences with major organizations, which is great. And it enables them to be young people to be in a much better position to make the difficult decisions at that stage of their life, which are going to be really important for them as they move forward through either educational pathways or career pathways. The existing portfolio is also in a really healthy place, and has won a number of awards throughout the year. I'm often seeing every month on LinkedIn new awards coming through for the portfolio, which is incredibly great to see. Two of the companies, just to focus in on, Learnably continue to scale into larger scale clients and are reaching more people with their solution, and more people putting Learnably solution in more hands of users, which is really encouraging to see. And Sonic Jobs, an AI app which supports job seekers into roles in a really streamlined manner, is helping hundreds of thousands of job seekers find roles every month, which is great to see as well. I'm now incredibly excited to introduce two co-founders from CAPSLOCK this morning. We've got Dr. Andrea Cullen and Lorna Armitage from CAPSLOCK. Andrea and Lorna, are you there with me? How are you both this morning?
Hey, Alex. Good morning.
I'm incredibly excited to have you guys here. I know it's really keen to hear more about the business. I often think that the entrepreneurs tell the stories much better than me and I can do. So, just starting off with yourself, Lorna, it would be great to just hear a little bit about your educational background. You obviously worked in the space for a number of years, and how CAPSLOCK came about.
Yeah, sure. So my background is a mixture of education, really, and computer science, cybersecurity. So I earned my spurs many years ago as a teacher in a city, Bradford schools. So, and then I moved over to university where I worked for a number of years as a senior academic alongside Andrea. And that was in computer science and cybersecurity and specialising in cyber. And then alongside that, I did quite a number of consultancy days as well out in industry, and then made the move full-time over to industry and consulted in private and public sector, sort of up to the highest level. And then in terms of CAPSLOCK, CAPSLOCK came about. So we were approached by Jonathan, our third co-founder, a couple of years ago now, who he'd seen a company in the US, Lambda School, who was doing boot camps and using this income share agreement, and kind of approached us and said, what do you think? There's obviously a skills gap in the UK, and would you be interested in sort of exploring this? And both myself and Andrea were so excited by the prospect of doing something really different. I mean, traditional education, universities are fantastic and they've got the rigor, but they're very inflexible in terms of what you can do. And we'd worked extensively in university and in industry training. So we knew all the best bits of both, and we were really excited to bring that into a new product. So we had that rigor of university, but with that flexibility that we could do as a startup, really. And we were also really excited about that, as you mentioned and alluded to earlier, Alex, that removing the barriers for people, because cyber is often seen as this smoke and mirrors industry that's really difficult, and I won't ever be able to do that. There's lots of acronyms, lots of language around it. I think that can be off-putting for people. It can be quite expensive to get into when you're looking at traditional certifications. So for us, we were really passionate about removing those barriers and just making it as easy as possible for people to come into the sector and career change.
Yeah, I think it's incredible from when I first spoke to you both a year ago to where the business is today, and the tangible impact you're having on learners is just incredible. And I think that was what was so exciting when we first looked at the business, in terms of removing those barriers into an industry that actually to a learner could be seen as really difficult and really complex to actually think about how you can map out a career within it. So amazing to see. I'd love to. I think what's also unique about CAPSLOCK is the learning approach. I think that's your cutting edge, and it'd be great from your perspective, Andrea, to touch a little bit around how did you think about that learning approach? How does it work in practice? I'd be great to hear a little bit more on that, if that's okay.
Sure, yeah. We first trialled this approach to learning really in university. We used it for a number of years and saw how incredibly beneficial it was for the learners, but also how much more interesting it was to be in the classroom. So we used two main methodologies within our learning style. The first is team-based learning. It's a little bit flipped classroom for anybody who's used to that as a term. So there's some pre-work up front, then there's assessment testing, and then what we call application exercises. So the real hands-on activities. That's the first element to it. The second element really is using problem-based learning. So instead of kind of doing a large number of theoretical activities, it's a matter of getting into the classroom and actually solving hands-on problems all the time. It's one way really to simulate the workplace. I think most of us understand that once you're working in cyber, the biggest thing you do is continuously problem solve, think on your feet, different environments. The classroom really simulates that activity. So as teams, they start in teams from day one. They're in teams of 5 or 6, and they spend the majority of their time in those teams. So they become almost like a little family, and they solve problems that are of increasing complexity throughout the course. So by the end of the course, they're solving real industry problems that are hugely complex in a really tight time scale. And it builds incredible cyber skills, but also impressive impact skills as well. The learners really are incredible once they've finished.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to speak to a couple of the learners a few months back, and it was just incredible to hear their kind of transformation stories. And I know also kind of the power of community you guys are building as well, and that's really important to you, isn't it, Lorna?
It is, yeah, absolutely. I think, it's obviously it's about career change and getting skills in cyber and going through that, but also a lot of our learners they come from such diverse backgrounds. A lot of what we build with them as well is those confidence skills and those impact skills, because they suffer a lot from imposter syndrome. So we do that a number of ways. We've got a professional coach who works one-to-one with them and a careers coach as well to support that. But we build that community around them as well and that network around them. So they're continuously supporting each other. Our alumni comes into the courses that we've got. They speak to the new learners, they talk to them about the difficulties they're going to face. You can see on LinkedIn, they're all connecting, and we have Slack channels and get-togethers. And, we're doing hopefully an in-person alumni meetup as well next year. So we can continue to build that network and that community. And I think it's just, it's absolutely essential for them to have that support.
Yeah, I'm completely in line with that. I think it's just one of the things I'm most excited about what you guys are doing. I think it's just incredibly that community you're building out, and they're all advocates of CAPSLOCK, which is great. And they're probably wearing the hoodies too. One thing I just wanted to touch on also is, some of the career transformation stories, we've discussed fleetingly this morning. You'll know these better than any. I think it would be great to give the audience a flavour of some of those. Andrea, are you happy to just talk through some of those potentially? So where people have come from, where they're now, what roles they're in now, it would be great to hear.
Yeah, I think diversity really is the key when we talk about this. In terms of diversity of age, so our youngest learners are around about 18, our oldest learners are over 60, so real diversity of experience and background. If we take a few kind of almost case studies, we've had taxi drivers, cleaners, dancers, professional dancers, music teachers, police officers, ex-army and ex-forces. I don't know where to start with that, but they've worked in supermarkets, they've done all sorts of things really, and full-time carers, parents, you name it, they're in the classroom. And I think what is brilliant about that is the diversity it brings to thought. So when you're looking at solving a problem, people have solved different problems for completely different contexts in totally different ways. So it really brings that diversity in and adds a real richness to the classroom. So some incredible transformations. People who kind of said, I thought I was going to be doing this for the rest of my life. I can't believe I once was cleaning not so long ago, and now I'm in a room full of people where I'm leading ISO implementations and everybody's listening to me. And so I think that change in life, that transformation in possibilities has been the best thing for us. We celebrate literally every job everybody gets.
I think just some actual examples. We took one. So Mikey was a dancer. He worked on cruise ships, and he was 7 weeks into the part-time course when he got his first role as a SOC analyst. So he continued to do the part-time course. He started his role. And actually now Mikey is deputy of that SOC and has actually hired 2 more learners from CAPSLOCK to go into that SOC. So you see there, you know, he's progressed so well. And I think another one as well is Nicole, who I always give the example of, because Nicole was 3 children. She'd not worked for a number of years. She'd been a stay-at-home mum. And I remember her coming on the course and me and Andrew being on calls with her, sometimes weekly, where she was just like, who's ever going to hire me? You know, I've not worked for so long, I can't do this. And we worked with her and all the other support staff worked with her. And now she's got a fantastic role at PwC. In fact, she messaged us the other week and said, you're never going to guess what I've done today, Lorna. I was like, okay, 3 weeks in, I've asked for a promotion and they're fast tracking me. And it was like, yes, go on, Nicole, you know. So you see, you know, the confidence and everything that you see throughout the course and building and when they come out the other end, honestly, it's just, I think it's the one thing that I probably didn't factor in. I knew it was going to be successful and it could be successful, but just the impact that it's having on people's lives is just fantastic. It really is.
Yeah, I think I was fortunate enough to speak to both Nicole and Mikey, and really, I came off feeling very positive about what I get to do every day, which is the same as you guys. So it's wonderful. I could speak all day on this. I think I'll quite quickly be getting told to move on if we go on too much. I would love to ask you one more question, which is just a bit of a selfish question from my perspective, but you've been operating in the education market for a number of years, both of you. I'd love to hear your perspectives on the space and where you see things going from a learning perspective. Do you think CAPSLOCK is kind of where things are heading and in terms of pathways through to careers? I'd love to hear your perspectives on that before we wrap up.
Yeah, I think personally that the education sector is moving to a more diverse offering. I think traditionally it's been seen as a rite of passage from school through to university, through to a job. And for some people that hasn't happened. And it's seen then in that case that many doors are closed for those people. So I think diversity of offering is really key. I think COVID actually, as much as it caused a lot of problems in terms of people's ability to function online, it's totally changed their outlook to being remote. So I think that's another thing, a lot bigger use of tech and remote tech so that people can study more flexibly from their own home. So I think definitely diversity of offering and more flexible.
Yeah, I think it has to happen. You know, I think Andrew is right. We've got this very traditional approach of you do your GCSEs, A-levels, go to university, and anybody who hasn't gone through that almost, I think, feels like they're a failure or they've not got what's needed in certain professions. But I think that has to change because the reality is that we're not able to fill these jobs just based on people who are doing that, and they're not always the most appropriate people. So education's got to change. It's got to become more diverse, more innovative, to allow people the opportunities.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think that's why when I said at the start, we're all about making sure there's an alignment from the impact perspective. I think we're very aligned from the UFI perspective to CAPSLOCK. So thank you so much for joining both this morning. It's been great to speak again. I'm sure I'll speak to you soon on a board call or something. But thank you so much for joining.
Cheers, Alex.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alex.
I think we're now heading back to the studio and rejoining Thomas. I hope I haven't gone too over the time, Thomas.
Hi, Alex. No, that was amazing. Thank you so much. And thanks to CAPSLOCK also for sharing their stories. Lots of amazing comments in the chat about just how inspirational that all is and the impact it's having. It was brilliant. I did have a question come in from Daniel, let me find it, which was asking, are there any specific areas that UFI Ventures are kind of looking into next, or kind of what kind of area do you see, what sector do you see kind of UFI looking to invest in? You got any ideas?
Yeah. We do deep dives regularly into different kind of sectors and topics of areas. So we have kind of an investment thesis around, for example, essential skills we're looking to service, or sectors that need to be supported by kind of technologies that can improve access to those particular sectors. For example, cybersecurity. I think with the green agenda coming up, there's going to be a huge amount of focus on how we upskill and reskill people with the necessary green skills to build out the green economy, and that, for me, is one of my passions and something I'm really excited about. I think we'll be trying to surface some great opportunities in that sector in the next kind of 12 or 6 to 12 months. It's quite nascent right now. And then also, I think, any technology that can support people who've fallen outside the labour market as well, off the back of everything that's happened with the pandemic, and supporting people in understanding what matches their skills with the right roles for them. And we're seeing a lot of innovation around that particular space right now in the more worker tech area of the market. So those are two of the things. I could talk for days on that question. There's a lot of things we need to do and a lot of work to do, but very exciting.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that. I think I've not had any more questions come in for you, so we'll probably leave that there. We've got quite a lot to get onto, but we are running slightly ahead of time, but that's okay. So what's coming up next? We are going to have a short break, after which we are going to move straight into the panel discussions. So you have a choice for panel discussions between data and ethics, assessment, inclusivity, and the future of work. As Rebecca said earlier, don't worry if you can't decide which one you want to watch. We're recording all of them and we will share them after the event. So when we come back from the break, don't come back to the stage. You want to click panel discussions, which is in the left-hand menu, and then click on your preferred breakout that you want to join. There's no need to turn on your camera or microphone unless you're invited to join the panel on stage. And please remember to ask any questions and comments in the chat. After the panel discussions, we'll come back to the stage for the announcement of our grant funding calls for 2022. Right, we're running a bit ahead of schedule. I think if we start the panel discussions at 10:55, that gives us a little bit of a break, and we will see everyone back there. Great, we'll see you soon.
Welcome back, everybody. Some fantastic discussions there, and thank you to all our speakers. The sessions have all been recorded and will be available to access later. We'll send you all an email with links to the content. So before we close, Rebecca, what else is to come in the week of VocTech?
Thanks, Dom. Well, this is an important week for adult learning and EdTech more broadly, with the EdTech Summit and the AOC conference both taking place. And we're really pleased that we're running joint sessions with both. So tomorrow we have a week of VocTech hybrid session with the EdTech Summit, looking at the social digital divide. Will we close the gap? And in the afternoon, we have a fantastic session looking at financing the VocTech solutions of the future. Has the case for venture investing in digital tech for adult skills come of age? The speakers include perspectives from all sides of the investment spectrum, and I'm really looking forward to it. On Friday, there'll be a chance to meet the UFI trustees at our round table, where trustees will be exploring their relationship with UFI and the passion they bring to our work, as well as answering your questions and giving you the opportunity to find out what makes the UFI board tick. Rounding off the week will be our hybrid session with the AOC, exploring the role of tech in supporting colleges on lost learning. It's really lovely to be able to partner with the AOC on this session, building on the work that we've been doing together over the past few years. And we're also up for an award at the Learning Technology Awards tonight, alongside 8 of our grant family, so a brilliant outcome, whatever happens.
Absolutely, looking forward to that. So looking ahead to 2022, we'll be continuing our work on the VocTech Challenge, delivering the work streams that are addressing learner confidence and motivation and tackling the digital divide. We'll be growing our venture portfolio and building the evidence base and market intelligence that supports our investments and the wider VocTech community. I'm also really pleased to announce that we'll be holding 2 VocTech seed grant calls in 2022. These will be open in January and June, and all of the dates are in our 2022 delivery plan, available now from our website. We will, as in 2021, support these calls with a series of online workshops and opportunities to engage with the team to help applicants understand what we're looking for. If you're interested in applying, please do take a look. Rebecca.
A huge thank you to everyone that has contributed to this event and to the wider week of VocTech. We really want your views and feedback. We have loved pulling the week together, and it's been great working with so many of you on the vision and the content. The Week of VocTech is going to become an annual event, and we'd really appreciate your feedback and input on what and who you'd like to see more or less of in future. So we're planning to hold the VocTech Showcase in person next year within the week of VocTech, and we can't wait to see you all and to join in with the demos and displays. But our main ask of you, the VocTech community, is that we can all work together to ensure high quality learning, training and opportunities are available to millions more people. The positive impact of tech is best demonstrated through doing. So let's all keep striving for better and greater impact. Thank you for joining us at the showcase this year and for being part of the VocTech community. We are closing the main session, but the networking part of the event is still open, so please do hang around, have a chat, albeit a virtual one, and thank you for joining us. So it's goodbye from Bristol, I guess.
Goodbye.